Over the past 3 weeks, I've talked a lot about localizers taking games and anime, then changing content in them they deem inappropriate or offensive. The topic of localizers has been pretty heated lately, and unfortunately, we've got another situation where Yen Press has erased the word slave from a new manga because, of course, it's deemed too offensive. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I wanted to start with the Sankaku Complex article. It says Mato Seihei no slave manga has slave omitted from title for the English release. Yen Press has seemingly already implemented some localization onto its next upcoming work, Mato Seihei no Slave, as the manga had the word slave omitted from its title for the English release, and causing many to complain and believe political correctness was the motive behind the change. Unfortunately, when a lot of content is coming to the West now, when we get translations of content coming from, say, Japan, unfortunately, we're facing a lot of political correctness. We're facing a lot of localization changes. A lot of companies are very afraid to release content that could be deemed offensive or controversial, so they change this content, and we end up getting all this watered down content, whether it's manga or anime or video games or entertainment just in general. So the name of the manga roughly translates to Slave of the Magic Capital's Elite Troops, and Yen Press sent a tweet announcing the English title to instead be Chained Soldier, additionally sharing the cover art for the first volume. And of course, a lot of people are furious over this change. A lot of people are going, why would you ever change this? So as you can see, this is the new cover. I mean, it doesn't look bad. The main character looks great. It's still the same main character art, but as you can see, the text says Chained Soldier. But if you look at the original, it definitely doesn't look that way. It's still got text in the back, but it has slave front and center. These changes make absolutely no sense. In this story, there's swords and killing and demons, yet they can't use the word slave. It's absolutely absurd, and of course, they're not going to explain the change or acknowledge it. They just are hoping people won't notice and will still purchase the product. It is terrible to see so much work altered when it's released in the West because companies are afraid to offend specific people, soft, special snowflakes on social media. They're afraid of their products getting canceled, of people boycotting them, so they're changing them, and it's so disappointing to see because people who would actually purchase them, like me and many of you, are not going to touch this project with a 10-foot pole now. People, though, are pretty pissed off at this. I wanted to head on over to the tweet thread because a lot of people are commenting their thoughts, and they're definitely not positive. There is a lot of memes on this thread, which of course I do appreciate a little bit of humor here and there. Somebody put trade offer, I receive censorship, you receive not my money. And I think that this is hilarious because it's so true. I don't touch censored projects, and I know a lot of you don't either. And it's just funny to see these companies sabotaging themselves. They're censoring content in their entertainment, in the products they're releasing, because they think it's going to make it appeal to other groups of people, the soft, sensitive snowflakes on social media. But it doesn't. Those people are not going to purchase it no matter what you change. You had the word slave there originally, so of course they're going to be furious and say, I'm not going to buy this because it had slave in the first place. People are commenting things like, and the mystery of why people continue to read fan translations continues. This is a great way to get the content that you want. Also, sometimes even sooner than the English content releases, because people do go online and fan translate for individuals who can't read things like Japanese. The word slave is literally in English in the Japanese title. It's like the biggest thing on the cover. It's impossible to miss. What a weird thing to change in localization. I agree, it does seem weird, but at the same time, companies are afraid to use words like slave. They think, oh my gosh, it makes this product unmarketable in the West and people are going to be mad at us. And unfortunately, I've talked a lot about localization over the past few weeks. Some of the videos will be linked in the description, but this was one of them. Infamous localizer brags about inaccurate translations. We have situations with games like Ghostwire Tokyo. English translation predictably contains propaganda. And of course, the largest situation I've talked about has been the Chrono Cross remaster. It says they allegedly change more dialogue and remove speech quirks. They also removed gendered terms. It was absolutely ridiculous to see all of the changes that they made when translating it to English. It says they also altered text they deemed sexist, both in Japanese and in English. At the beginning of the game, part of a conversation you have with Una about her sister Lena goes like this. First, the original, and second, the sanitized version. But you have to be confident to that extent, as expected. And then it's changed, but you have to be confident to that extent as a man. Now, the big brother Sergey already put her in her place. You should tell her to act more like a woman. Now that big brother Sergey already put her in her place, you should tell her to be nicer. We also have this article. Old interview reveals Skies of Arcadia dialogue was completely rewritten. Again, this is not a new game release, but it is an interview that recently was brought up again just because everyone's talking about localizers, all the changes they're making to games. It says an old interview has resurfaced on social media as it involves a translator for a classic title, Skies of Arcadia, admitting they merely did a rough translation of the game before throwing out the rest of the Japanese text and ad-libbing as they saw fit, a pure example of why many hate localizers and demonstrating that the problem has existed for decades. It says the 2015 interview was with translator Clayton Vorlick, who worked on Skies of Arcadia, and he shared information on his translation process for the game, such as how many scenes in the game were roughly translated, and then a lot of the dialogue was rewritten completely, which is sadly comparable to the shoddy translation work of the current era. Unfortunately, a lot of these localizers aren't simply translating things to English as accurately as possible, which is what people want. They're looking at the work, they're saying this could be offensive, this could be inappropriate, so I'm going to change it. And unfortunately, these companies are still hiring these individuals to translate work for them. Do I think that this is going to magically stop anytime soon? No, but I think it's extremely important to point out when situations like this happen, and now it is happening, where the word slave has been omitted from a title for an English release of a manga. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.